Slides. Very good. All right, so welcome to our Rubin Science Assembly. Yumi Choi and I are going to be discussing stars and Milky Way science with the Rubin Science platform, Rubin Science. Okay, so for today's agenda, we will go through some quick announcements. Then Yumi is going to take over and start talking about some of the science that you can do with the LSST. We'll have 2 hands-on tutorials for everyone to work through. First, we're going to do the portal aspect and then the notebook aspect. I'm going to walk you through how we're going to log on to those in just a second. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for questions at the end. So I'm going to give you some announcements real quick. Firstly, let's go. If you're new here, you can get an account at the Rubin Science platform. Once again, can we put the slides in the chat just to make sure everyone has them? When people come in, they can't see the old chat. Today, we're going to be going through DP0 right here, which is simulated data. We're going to be using DP0.2 for our stars and Milky Way investigation today. We have lots of documentation at dp0.lsst.io, and then we have the DP0.2 simulation, and then we also have the DP0.3 simulation, which is solar system objects. Yumi is going to be going through some of the data preview 1 things that you can do for stellar and Milky Way science. We have a presentation that was presented, I think it was in February. You can go back and look at that recording if you follow this link. And we also have lots of information on our website. And then, of course, if you have any questions, we do have a community forum in which you can ask support questions. Ugh. We would like to announce that the Rubin Community Workshop has been scheduled and registration is now open. It will be July 28th through August 1st in Tucson of this year. Also, bring your attention to next week. We will have a Rubin Science Assembly, but it won't be a science presentation. It's just going to be a discussion and some questions and answers on community filters. And then the week after that, we will have another science presentation. And we've been doing the science seminars, science preparation seminars, and now we're going to go back to our 1 week of support the next week of a science presentation. That's how it's going to be moving forward. Also, I wanted to bring it to your attention that we do have a call for input on the community filters, and we have a community post, which will give you some more information on that. Want to bring your attention to the users committee. I'm going to let you go ahead and read the slide. We're a little bit short on time. So we do have a users committee, which is very active, and we do have some information on the community forum for that. And then also link frameworks, the software development, there is a website for that. And if you would like some additional information, it's available on this slide. And so I'm going to try to get you ready for the presentation that we're going to do in a minute. If you would like to go to this GitHub, let me see if I can get it in here. If you go to this GitHub location, hold on. This will take you to our DP1 science prep seminars, and you'll have all of the science seminars that have been presented so far. There's information in there. You'll click on the stars in Milky Way presentation for today. We have 2 files that have portal information in there, and then we'll also have the Jupyter notebook, which I will show you how to do that in a second. Let's go back to the slideshow. I'm challenged with my computer. I apologize. I'm having laptop problems this morning. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm once again still trying to get you set up. We're going to go to the Rubin Science platform, and if you want to follow along with both the portal and the notebook aspect, I would suggest you open up two tabs for the Rubin Science. Come on, sorry. All right, so I've got two tabs here. So this is the link for the Rubin Science platform right here. I'm going to be going through the portal aspect, which I'll show you in a second. The notebook aspect is going to be managed by Yumi today. And in order to do that, so you've logged into the Rubin Science platform, and I'm going to show you real quick. We have a command here, which I'll put in chat first. Go. So when you go into the notebook aspect, you'll select a medium container and it will start up for you. Hopefully this won't take too long. I wanted to show you how to do it. So and then once I finish this, I got one more announcement and then we'll go into the science aspect. I'm going to show you, I'm going to be working in the portal. So you'll click on this one. As I said, I've got two tabs open to easily jump back and forth between them. And so that git clone command that I just put in there for you, you'll go to your terminal tab up here. You'll put the command in for git clone, hit enter, and it will bring all of that information in here for you. So, all right, back to here. I think we're back to, if anybody has any questions, please put it in the chat. We've got plenty of people here who can help you solve problems. And then the final announcement we have, we do have a science collaboration dedicated to stars, Milky Way, and the local volume. And there's some information here and also a link for you to join if you're interested. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Yumi, where she's going to talk about all of the science we can do with LSST with stars and Milky Way. So.
Thank you, Tina. Not all of the science, but a small portion of it. So stars in the Milky Way science with LSST, this topic is very broad. So I'd like to note that what we'll be covering today is only a small part of it. Next slide, please. Okay, so Rubin will survey the entire southern sky over the next 10 years, starting late this year, which is exciting. And this plot shows a current baseline survey strategy color-coded by the expected total number of visits. And most relevant components for the stars and Milky Way science is going to be the wide fast deep survey and probably some dusty plain mini survey. And the 5 sigma point source depth per filter are listed for single visit images and the 10-year co-ed respectively. And we're expecting there will be like 17 billion resolved stars in the final data release DR11, which is a lot. Next slide. And Del Pino et al. Used a trilogal model to simulate the LSST stellar count and predict the spatial distribution of the resolved stars across within the LSST survey footprint based on the known Milky Way and Magellanic Clouds structural parameters and their star formation histories. And this figure shows the expected number of stars per square degrees on the sky that are greater than 27.5 magnitude in R band. And so you can see high stellar density along the galactic plane and around the LMC and SMC. The table on the right shows the predicted number counts for each stellar evolutionary phase, like the pre-main sequence star, main sequence, supergiant, subgiant, RGB, core burning stars, and AGBs and post-AGB for simulated Milky Way, LMC, and SMC respectively. And again, down to 27.5 limiting magnitude. Okay, next please. Next slide. Right, with this great data sets, what we can study about the stars and Milky Way. Here is an incomplete list of the stars and Milky Way science enabled by LSST. This is just a working group, basically working group list inside a Star Milky Way local volume science collaboration. So LSST will allow us to study like solar neighborhood, variable stars, star clusters, galactic bulge, Milky Way structure, Magellanic Clouds, and interstellar medium, and near-field cosmology. And in addition to this, in addition, the proper motion and the parallax measurements will allow us to study kinematic substars and stellar systems within the Milky Way. And in the next couple of slides, I'll be briefly talking about Milky Way structure. Oh, can you go back? Sorry. Milky Way structure, Magellanic Clouds, and the near-field cosmology. And the variable star demo was presented in the time domain session a few weeks ago by Jeff and Ryan. So, and recording and the materials are available in the community forum. So if you're interested in missed the session, please check those out. And our demo today will be focusing on the static stars and Milky Way science. Next slides, please. Right, so mapping the Milky Way. So LSST will map the Milky Way using resolved main sequence stars out to 300 kiloparsec, KPC. And with all our variable stars, we can go even further out to about like 400 KPC. And the SES spatial map covered a tiny portion, which was a big discovery back in the day, but compared to what LSST will discover. And Ivicic et al. 2008 developed a photometric method to estimate the stellar metallicity from UG minus G minus R color for the FG type main sequence stars. And if we apply this method to like 200 million FG stars that LSST will detect, it's possible to map the entire stellar metallicity out to 100 kpc. And Tina will just demonstrate how to create this kind of color diagram using the photo aspect in her demo later. Next slide, please. So Magellanic Clouds, the LMC is massive and likely on its first infall into the Milky Way halo, bringing its own satellite populations, including the SMC. And its motion through the Milky Way's dark matter halo creates a gravitational wake, as shown in the left panel, perturbing like halo stars, stellar streams, and then other Milky Way satellites. And this wake is direct probe of the Milky Way's dark matter distribution. And so characterizing like interactions, interacting LMC SMC pair is crucial not only for understanding themselves, but also the assembly history and the structure of the Milky Way. So right panel shows a stellar density map in the periphery of the LMC and SMC, and clearly the MCs host rich stellar structures around them, and many of which likely originated from their mutual interactions and possibly with the Milky Way as well. And LSST will reveal fainter and more extended stellar structures around the Magellanic Cloud, which will provide like critical new constraints on the LMC SMC Milky Way interaction history. Okay, next slide. And the census of Milky Way satellites. The census of bright Milky Way satellites are relatively complete, but still far from complete for the faint end, which are like old and meta poor. And the isochrone matched filter search is a very powerful method for identifying faint Milky Way Milky Way satellite galaxies that are hidden in a wide area survey data. And this method assigns, if you look at the third panel here, this method assigns weights to stars based on how well they match on old metaphor isochrones in color magnitude space. And the matched filter emphasizes candidate member stars, as shown in the left panel, and then while suppressing the field contaminations like the background galaxies in the second panel, as shown in the second panel. And this method works because the Milky Way satellites are often spatially localized and have coherent CMD features like uh, the main sequence turnoff, old main sequence turnoff, and RGB and the horizontal branch. So by scanning the sky with this isochrone matched filter as a function of distance moduli, it reveals like spatial overdensities that are consistent with faint, unresolved, ultra-faint Milky Way satellites. Next slide. And then one can construct a luminosity function from the discovered satellite populations. So the red line in the left panel shows the luminosity function of the current known satellites within the LSST footprint. And different dark matter models predict a different satellite distribution, different luminosity function. So one example is shown in this plot as a blue band, the model from the Nedler et al. 2020. So having complete census of Milky Way satellites, especially in the fainter end highlighted here, is crucial, where the model prediction and the current discovery has the biggest difference. A recent paper by Zillian et al. I'm not sure if I correctly pronounced the name. Apologies. But they presented, use the simulations to predict how many satellites LSST might find, and they estimate. So here in the left panel, it's black lines, and they estimate the LSST will discover like around 30 to 50 new satellites within the footprint, depending on how well LSST can separate stars from galaxies. And these new systems will tend to be fainter, as we can see in the right panels, fainter and smaller and farther out than the ones we discovered already. So next slide. So these are the some science cases we can do with the LSST for stars and Milky Way. And then what are the most relevant LSST data products for this science? Okay. So the images, or for images, process single visit images and grid co-ed images, definitely useful to investigate your sources in the visually. And then next slides. The source catalogs from the processed individual visit images and object catalogs from the deep co-ed images, and then the first source catalogs for the first photometry in all the visit images, single visit images at the locations of the sources in the all sources in the object catalog. So those images and catalogs might be the most relevant data products. Again, this demo doesn't cover the variable aspect. Next slide, please. And since our session is the last one in the DP1 Prep Special seminar series, I'd like to remind that DP1 is coming very soon, June, July, and it will deliver raw images, processed visit images, and source catalogs, co-edited images, and object catalogs for sure. But first, source catalogs and difference images and DIA catalogs remain a stretch goal. Right. Next slide, please. And there will be 7 target fields in DP1. We highlight 4 of those that are most relevant to stars and the Milky Way science, but not limited to, which are 47 Tuck globular cluster field, 4 Nextdorf field, and the low galactic latitude field, and Sickle Nebula field. That might be the most relevant fields for us. And this is their sky distribution. Okay. And if you want to know more about DP1, please check out the previous assembly looking forward to DP1. And also there is an interim report on the ComCam own Sky campaign, which has all the details about the DP1 data products. Right, next. So now we're going to move on to the hands-on tutorials. Tina will first present a portal tutorial, and then I will present the notebook tutorial. But before moving on, is there any questions so far? If not, then Tina, the floor is yours again. Oh, Matthew.
I was just wondering how the size of DP2 will compare to that of DP1 of sky coverage.
Oh, sky coverage. So the sky coverage for the DP1 is very small. It's just a single pointing, basically single pointing for with the dithering. The ComCam field of view. Oh, is that right? Someone from the CST can confirm that? I don't remember the total sky coverage, but for the DP2, we'll have like 1,000 square degree for some wide fast deep things, and then like 10 square degree thing for the like deep grid field thing. So it's gonna be really bigger. The DP2 will be much bigger than DP1.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think even a single LSST cam field of view on the sky covers as much sky coverage as you'll see in data preview 1. I mean, so it's going to be vastly bigger than in DP2 than in DP1.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, so once again, if you would like to go to the GitHub right here to follow along, if you need the link, let me know again. But we're going to go into the Stars and Milky Way GitHub, and then I'm going to quickly cover a CMD, how to create a CMD, a CCD, or an SED with the portal, which is actually, I really love the portal. It can be quite powerful. Discovered some new little tricks that I wanted to share with you today. So the CMD tutorial here has been presented before. So I am not actually going to have us build a CMD at the moment. I just wanted to walk you through one of the techniques that we've discovered for this, because the CMD has been presented in a notebook tutorial and also in a portal tutorial. But the difference for this tutorial, if you're interested, once again, we have instructions on how to log into the RSP, how to go to the portal aspect, and how to go to this slide, which I'm going to show you, or this view, which I'm going to show you in a second. Okay, so the really fun thing that we did here that's in this presentation is this ADQL query, which if you run the query in this manner, it makes it actually really fast to plot results, which I'm going to show you in the next one. Okay, so I'm just going to run through this real quick because we've done this before. If you are interested in a step-by-step, it's here. Plotting the color magnitude diagram when you add in and do the calculations when you're doing the ADQL query makes it super simple to plot. And then we have come up with this color magnitude diagram. Like I said, this has been presented multiple times. We do have some explanations for the M stars. I think, Jeff, you were saying last week that there was the reason why these are quantized is because of a binning size or something like that. Anyway, if you're curious, ask Jeff. Also, okay, so now I want to slow down just a little bit and walk you through a color diagram. So same kind of process, which I'm going to have you do in a second. But if you go down to here and hit this little copy command, you're going to copy this ADQL query that we'll use in the portal. So one little note, so here I'm at the Rubin Science platform. I'm going to click on portal. And then for this demonstration, we are going to use the DP 0.2 catalog. So you're going to click on that tab at the top. I just want to bring this to your attention. You have lots of ways to get information here. And it's really awesome when you're investigating things and you just want to do a quick investigation. You can make your selections here and then hit this populate and edit ADQL. So I've made my selections. I'm putting my constraints in here. I'm going to populate and edit an ADQL. And this is the kind of fun thing. So I actually took this ADQL query and then took it into Copilot and asked it to like alter it to give me the stuff, the programming that I needed for this. So anyway, so that was in UI assisted. You're able to figure out, select different fields, put the constraints in. You can either run it, the search from here, or you can do edit and populate ADQL with that. In this case, though, we're just going to this edit ADQL button up here, copying in the query that was in the documentation. I'm going to switch this to 10,000 rows because we don't want to overwhelm the system. Now I'm going to hit search. And like I said, the thing about this search that makes it a little bit more powerful when using the portal is now I have a color UG and color GR that are already populated. You don't have to do anything special when you're trying to plot. So I'm just going to go up to this gear icon right here. I'm going to modify my trace. My X value is going to be color UG. My Y value is color GR. You have the option of some doing trace values and chart values. I'm not going to generate those at the moment. I'm just going to hit apply because I want to give time for Yumi. So this is similar. So this is a color diagram that was very similar to the plot that Yumi had shown in the presentation, where we have our quasars and where we have, this is our quantized M stars over here. We have the main sequence. So that's really powerful. If you go back to DP2 catalogs, if you'll see results are in this tab, and then back to DP2 catalog, DP0.2 catalogs. If you want to make any changes in here, it's really simple. If you'd like to bebop around and go to different parts of the sky, it's really simple to here. If you'd like to change some of the values or look at different color space, it's pretty simple to make adjustments here. So I really like that. I'm now going to walk us through so that we presented the CMD multiple times. This is a new color diagram that looks pretty good. Oh, one thing that Yumi wanted me to point out was these tutorials here use Calib flux, but she suggested that PSF flux is probably more appropriate for stellar science. And so probably with the DP1 tutorials, this will be updated to do that. But for our purposes with the simulation, it's fine. So now I'm going to show you, this is just how to make a quick and dirty SED for 5 stars. So we're going to do the same thing, copy this ADQL query, and then add it to the edit ADQL box. And this one, I grabbed each of the edges of each of our filters and I sort of just averaged and found the center. And so I'm just importing these. This might be a little bit off, but this is just an example. So once again, I'm getting the calibrated flux for each of the filters, which Yumi had said that PSF flux is probably more appropriate. I am in here, I'm doing detect as primary, so it's a single source. We've got our fluxes are kind of a bright object. Extendedness is 0 because we would like stellar objects and not galaxies or quasars. So row limit, I'm just going to set this to 5. All right. I'm also, yes. Okay, sorry. Here we go. Search. All right, so now I have a plot here that's got RA and DEC of 5 different stars. I would like, though, to create a photometric SED. So at this time, because of the way I imported the data, I'm going to first examine the filters in U band. And I'm going to apply that. So what this has done, and this is sort of this is probably easier to do in a notebook, but I wanted to show you how we could do it in the portal. So now we have all 5 stars, their U band values plotted in here. I would like to distinguish each star from each other. So I'm going to use the color map based on their G Calib flux, and I'm going to make the color scale rainbow. And you'll notice now, if I close this, that each of the stars has a different color. This orange one, yellow one is basically the star that is highlighted. Okay, next, because I'm trying to go quick, I'm going to overplot this trace. And now I'm going to add the G values for this. I'm going to hit OK. There is a little bit of a thing here. You can't select the color at the same time you're selecting the values. I don't exactly know why yet. So I'm going to quickly go into my color map and apply the same rainbow colors. And now I have U band and G band plotted together. Now you'll go through each of the rest of the bands. I'm going to quickly scroll down here just to show you that in the end, I've got 5 stars. I should make that a little smaller so you can see it. I'm so sorry. So we've got basically 5 stars plotted here so we can see sort of this. This is 1 star in the red. We've got another star in this magenta color. So we do have the ability to make an SED within the portal, which I think is really powerful. And I love doing those really cool 80 cool queries. And like I said, I put it into Copilot to make it fancier. So I would like to turn it over to Yumi now, who is going to walk us through the notebook.
Great. Let me open the chat. Okay, so if you haven't have done Git clone thing, then you will see this DP1 science prep seminars folder, and then go to the stars in the Milky Way folder, and there should be stars underscore Milky Way, the notebook. So I executed all the cells in advance to avoid any like hiccups during the real time demos. But then you are very welcome to follow along and execute it to cells as I go through the steps. So this notebook demo is the learning object is to understand the star galaxy separation in the DP 0.2 datasets. And I think it's the same for the DP1. And compute the Milky Way halo density profile using blue horizontal front BHB stars. So it's a 2 different contents in this demo. And then we're gonna use the object table and the deep co-ed images for the LSST data products, and then using this particular LSST pipeline packages for the demo. And this notebook is like based on many different existing notebooks. Some from DP 0.2 tutorial notebooks developed by the Rubin community science team, as well as some from the delegate contributed content. Okay, so DP 0.2 dataset contains simulated stars in the Milky Way. And in the first part of this tutorial, we're gonna examine how star galaxy separation is computed in the DP 0.2 and possibly DP1 as well, and then investigate its performance. As I show in the slides of the presentation, for example, the Milky Way satellite discovery is the detection efficiency is depending on the the star galaxy separation performance. So the second part of this demo will compute the Milky Way halo density profile using the BHB stars as a tracer. And I hope from these two short examples, we can learn how to access and work with the DP0.2 data products and get some sense of how to conduct stellar and Milky Way science with the LSST. So we first import the packages, the general Python packages, and the LSST specific packages from the science pipeline. And then define some parameters for mostly for plotting. So making plots prettier and clear and colorblind friendly. So these are the cells. And then the first session, the star galaxy separation. So the star galaxy separation is pretty straightforward in the bright magnitude range because stars outnumber galaxies, and bright galaxies looks large on the sky, so it's pretty easy. But at the faint magnitude, the number of galaxy increase and their angular sizes on the sky become smaller, so it's making harder clear star galaxy separation. And the misclassified galaxies can contaminate stellar samples, which could be result in biased result in your science. So in the DP0.2 object table, there's a ref extendedness parameter, which is set to 1 for extended sources and 0 for point-like sources in the reference band. And then there are also this extendedness parameter is given for each filters, but in this demo, we're going to use the ref extendedness parameter. And in DP0.2, this parameter is binary, meaning it's either 0 or 1. And it's based on a simple cut of the ratio between ratio of the PSF flux to the model flux in the reference band. So if the PSF flux over the ratio of the PSF flux over the C model flux is close to 1, then it's classified as point-like source, and then the ref extendedness parameter set to 0. And if it's smaller, the ratio is smaller than 0.985, then it sets to the 1 and classified as an extended source in the DP0.2. And so we're going to investigate this star galaxy separation performance with a random 50,000 object for first. So we first initiate the tab service to query the table. And here is a query to retrieve UGR magnitude and the ref extendedness parameter from the object catalog, and only for the primary source and the PSF flux in U band is greater than 316 nanojansky, which means 25 IB max. And we retrieve 50,000 random object. So in this cell, we run the query as an asynchronous job, and we fetch the result and convert it to the AstroPy table and look at the table content. So we have 50,000 object in U band, G band, R band magnitude, and the ref extendedness information. All right, so in this cell, we're looking at the distribution of the extendedness parameter for the retrieved object. So as you can see, the DP0.2 is high galactic latitude field. Most of the sources in the field, the selected object are measured to be extended sources. There are some portion of the point-like sources. And then if we plot the color magnitude diagram and color diagram, for this object, and then highlight the sources that are measured as a point-like sources in a red dots. It looks like this. So on the left, it's a CMD. The red dots are the stars, point-like sources. So the bright things in like plumes in the bright magnitude range are highly likely real stars, but there are some. Oh, there are some faint sources in the down that could be misclassified galaxies or quasars. So if we look at the color diagram, it's confirmed they are quasars and some background galaxies misclassified as a point-like sources. But most of them are the brighter ones, are the main sequence stars, and then M giant. M dwarf stars. Okay, so in next subsection, we're going to look at the star galaxy separation performance in a slightly different way to explore like different data products and different methodology, but in a like galaxy cluster region. So because the DP0.2 is a simulated data, we also have like truth information about whether the object is actually a star or galaxy. So in this subsection, we're going to compare the measured properties, the ref extendedness parameters in the object table, and with the truth object time from this truth summary table. So we just randomly pick a sky area where it hovers a galaxy cluster. So we first load an image to visualize this random sky portion of the sky. So we set the butler and then identify the data ID, like tract number and patch number, and which filter, which band we want to retrieve the image. So we set this tract and this patch in I band, and we want the deep co-ed image. So we ask butler to grab that image, and then we display deep co-ed for the galaxy cluster area. So you can see the galaxy cluster down here. And then next step, we're going to retrieve the point-like sources in this image from the object table. So to do that, we need to first identify what is the coordinates of this area, and then do queries the object, the point-like sources in that spatial coordinates. So in this cell, we extract X, Y values of the corners of the deep co-ed images displayed above, and then convert that to the RAN DEC position that we're going to use in the query next cell. So we do that here, and then create a query statement for retrieving point-like object within the bounding box corners, and then join them with the truth summary table to get the true object type information. So this is the query, and then we run the query as a synchronous job again, and then fetch the result and convert them to an astropy table, and look at the table contents. So we have the ID and truth type. So in the truth summary table, the truth type 1 means it's galaxy, and the truth type 2 means star. So we have that information because it's DP0.2 is again a simulated data. Then we have G and I band magnitude information and the ref extendedness parameter from the object table. So this is the measured values, not the truth value. So we just display the same image and overplot the retrieved point-like source on the image. So this is the image, and then red dots here are the the galaxy we know from the truth summary table. And there are some blue dots here and there. Those are the true star sources in the retrieved table. All right, so now we can compare the truth object type and the measured ref extendedness values to see how the star galaxy separation perform with the DP0.2. So in this plot, what I'm showing is that the histogram of the object type from the truth summary table. So in that area, the truth summary table tells us a lot of the objects were actually galaxies, which means one, and then some are actually the stars. But when we look at the object, the ref extendedness parameter from the object table, which was measured from the pipeline, it says all the objects in the field were point light sources. So there is definitely some misclassification is going on. And if we look at color magnitude diagram, CMD, we can see where those misclassifications happening. So so the object table, the measurement says everything is in the field is point light sources. But if we color code the object by stars and galaxies, this is from the truth summary table, bright objects are classified correctly as stars. But as you can see, a lot of like fainter, like background galaxies were misclassified as a star in the object table. So this is the star galaxy separation performance in the DP0.2. Is there any questions? If not, oh, Bobby, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just was going to comment that what is the crowding level, or ask what is the crowding level in these fields? Because if you get crowded, then objects merge into one another, and even though they may actually be close by stars, they would be misclassified as something more extended.
Yes, definitely. So, this is a high galactic latitude field, so it's not stellar crowded field.
Yeah, but there's a cluster there, right?
Sorry, what?
There's a group of bright stars in the lower left corner, so is that a cluster?
This is galaxy cluster.
That's a galaxy cluster, okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so definitely in the more crowded region, this star galaxy separation will be hampered more. Okay. So the next section is Milky Way halo density. So it's about the trying to understand the structure of the simulated Milky Way using the blue horizontal branch stars as tracers. BHB stars represent old and metapolar population, like the halo, Milky Way halo, and serves as a reliable distance indicators. And BHB stars have blue colors, stand out in a CMD at a fixed distance, but in a wide area survey, they overlap with contaminants like the nearby white dwarfs or distant quasars and blue stragglers. So and querying all the blue point-like sources from the object table across the full DP0.2 simulation is taking long. So we skipped that part to save the time. But we put the final BHB sample file in our folder, so you can just starting from the reading that fits file and just measure the density profile of the blue helium burning blue horizontal branch stars within the Milky Way. So for the BHB sample construction details, please refer to the Milky Way Milky Way halo density notebook developed by Jeff. And we just save the final PHP sample in a fit file and provide you to just simply quickly go through this notebook tutorial. So in the final PHP samples, these white narrow bands were included in that file. So it went through complicated color, many different color combination selections. Right. So we just simply reading the fit file containing these final PHP samples. And then from following this relation from the G minus R colors of the PHP stars, we can calculate the absolute G band magnitude for stars. And then this little function is calculating the distance to the individual BHP stars in kiloparsec. So we just pass the G and I band information to this function to calculate the distance to them in kiloparsec. And then based on their array, deck, and distance information, we create a sky court object and define the 3D positions of this selected BHP stars in the ICRS frame. And then, so this distances are measured from the sun, so which means the heliocentric distance. But we're interested in the Milky Way radial density profile, so we need to convert the heliocentric distance to the galactocentric distance. And because of the sky court object, we can do that very easily. So we now have the galactocentric distance for the individual BHP stars. And then bin the BHP stars by galactocentric radius using 10 kpc wide bin and show from the 0 to 600 kpc. And for each bin, we count number of stars and compute the shell volume and calculate the number density by dividing the star count by the corresponding volume. So we repeat the same steps for each the selected subsamples and then compare density profile. So this cell is doing that, calculating the radial density profile of the BHP stars, and then plot the result. This is the result. So density as a function of galactocentric distance. And then we fit a power law to this radial density profile in this form. And then this cell is doing that. So we got the power law index of 2.71. And when we overplot the power law to our measured radial density profile, it looks like this. And as comparison, the DP 0.2 simulation used the power law index of 2.8. So this is very close. And given that our simple methodology to select the BHP stars, it's pretty good. So you can try the same thing with the different tracers of the Milky Way halo or other components of the Milky Way structure. Right. I think that's it.
Very good.
Hopefully you have a better idea of the data products and the different science cases you could explore with the TP1. Right.
Are there any
Any
questions?
questions?
Jinx. And then just a reminder, next week is a drop-in session, but we are going to have sort of a structured conversation about that. And then 2 weeks from today, we do have another science presentation. So it was great seeing everybody. Yay. You're welcome. See you all next week.